This is part 3 of The Pied Piper of Peoria, How American Culture Can Lure You from God and Weaken Your Faith. I'm Mike Zigarelli. At around 2 o'clock, Michelle flips through the mail as she walks back up the driveway. The women's magazine screams the same hackneyed themes from last month. Burn belly fat in 2 minutes a day. Great skin at age 30, 40, 50. Try tonight the ancient Chinese secret to better sex. And then there's the ubiquitous celeb du jour peddling the 3 steps to a happier you. The invisible message resounds. These are the things that matter in life. Just as powerful as the magazine's content is the message sent by the svelte model on the cover. She has perfect teeth, perfect makeup, and a Barbie doll figure. Without saying a word, she too speaks volumes to Michelle. This is what it means to be beautiful. On the drive back from work, Sam listens to some talk radio. He's an idea guy, so he appreciates a spirited exchange of ideas. The host of the show is passionate, eloquent, and sometimes humorous, and to Sam, almost always correct. Today's assertions, as usual, resonate with Sam, entrenching him further still into a partisan mindset. Over time, without realizing it, his perspectives on the important issues of the day are correlated more closely with political party than with any Christian beliefs he might espouse. In fact, if pressed, he'd have trouble articulating a Christian or biblical perspective on these issues. He's got plenty of opinions, though, and some strong arguments to back them up. The same is true for Sam's friend at work, but that guy tends to be shaped more by the cable news shows than by talk radio. He listens selectively rather than critically to the talking heads on TV and comes away just as partisan as he began, equipped with a few more grenades to toss at Sam the next day at lunch. He too habitually follows the Pied Piper of partisanship, albeit in the opposite direction of Sam. Neither man realizes, though, that he's being led astray. Speaking of the day's news, throughout the day Sam and Michelle are treated to a host of media opinion shaping, masquerading as objective reporting. The stories that are highlighted, how they're framed, the word choices, the body language, and the gestures of the reporters, all of these can convey a particular point of view, and many times that's a secular one. Here's but one instance from today. As Michelle scans the front page of the newspaper, this little blurb catches her eye. President Obama said he would repeal a Bush administration rule that protected doctors and nurses who refused to provide a medical service because of moral qualms. A medical service? Mere moral qualms? Michelle's becoming savvy enough to see this as secular code. Another way to frame it, she thinks, would be, President Obama plans to repeal a Bush administration rule that protected doctors and nurses who refused to take an innocent human life because they consider themselves accountable to God. Michelle's not yet inclined to be persuaded on this issue, but another secular seed is planted by the news media, and over the years, only one of those seeds needs to take root for Michelle's mind to begin to change. Sam and Michelle again flip on the TV after putting their kids to bed. 250 channels later, they settle on a movie rerun, one of their favorites, Dead Poets Society, where Robin Williams plays a private school teacher who uses unorthodox but ingenious methods to inspire his class of 16-year-old boys. In a classic scene from that film, the teacher invites his students to peruse 100-year-old photos of schoolboys who look surprisingly similar to the current class. His lesson? Like the boys in these pictures, we are food for worms, lads. Each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. Turning back to the pictures on the wall, he asks, did they wait till it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable of? You see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But it's not too late for you, he tells the class in a crescendo. These boys' legacy to you is this. Carpe diem. Seize the day, boys. Make your lives extraordinary. It's a great message and so powerfully delivered. Make the most of this moment that we call life. But beyond the brilliant rhetoric, consider the worldview behind this teacher's lesson. It's a message of atheism. Make the most of your life because there is no eternity is indeed a profoundly different message than make the most of your life because God has created you and gifted you. Which of these are we to believe? The moment passes quickly, though, and there's no time for such reflection. With drive-by efficiency, the scene advances a secular worldview. Sam and Michelle simply consume it as entertainment, and the piper plays on, as he does in so many of the movies on the other 249 channels. Michelle hops on Facebook for a few minutes before turning in. With all the secular messages around us all the time, it's no wonder that she hears the echo of that music through her friends. Many of them have been following the piper for years. In fact, they've been trained to play the music for themselves. A friend comments on Michelle's profile picture, complimenting her for how young she still looks. Another laments an expensive but unused gym membership and her rapidly expanding midsection. A third publicizes her new side job as a Mary Kay consultant. Mindless chatter? Innocuous girl talk? Just keeping in touch. Sometimes, but notice that yet again Michelle is being bombarded with a secular view of how she should look, of what matters in life, and of what her priorities should be. Since so many people on Facebook seem concerned about what they look like, and are taking notice of what Michelle looks like, then perhaps her appearance should indeed be a high priority. Perhaps her self-concept is even becoming defined by her appearance. These mere 5 minutes online have only reinforced the messages Michelle heard earlier in the day from the television and the women's magazine. The real power in this moment, though, is not the messages themselves, but the messengers. It's one thing when a faceless company pitches an idea or a worldview. It's quite another when a friend does it. Our similarity to our peers and our liking of our peers make them among the most powerful influencers in our lives. We don't always follow our friends, of course, but their perspective tends to influence us far more than does the perspective of strangers or salespeople. By the end of the day, Sam and Michelle have been solicited by dozens of messages, some visible, some invisible, some unique, some recurring. More of the piper's progeny have joined in the cacophony as well. Bumper stickers, advice columnists, comic strips, video games, political speeches, novels, plays, works of art, athletes. The music is inescapable. The point, though, is that much of this music, this cultural conditioning, advances ideas that deviate radically from those of the Judeo-Christian tradition. In just this one day, for example, among the messages that Sam and Michelle and their kids have heard are these. The good life is a life of accumulation. More is better, faster is better, bigger is better, except for certain body parts. Be concerned about what you wear and what you look like. Be thin, or at least dress that way. Look younger. Beauty is something you buy. The ultimate ends in life are happiness and freedom. You have a right to be happy and to do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't directly hurt someone else. Life is short and eternity is uncertain, so you owe it to yourself to indulge. Look out for number one, because no one else will. Enjoy promiscuity, but be safe. After all, abstinence is for losers who can't get a date. The good employee is the one who does whatever it takes to get results. Success is moving up the ladder, earning more money, and being in charge. You belong to yourself, and you're accountable only to yourself. Just make sure your conscience is clear and you can sleep at night. The good person is the tolerant person, the one who understands that different opinions are equally valid opinions. Live and let live. And finally, God is unknowable, so God is irrelevant. Religious beliefs are private and have no place in public policy, education, the workplace, or even polite conversation. Devoutly religious people are superstitious, anti-intellectual, gullible, and irrational. And this is just a sampling, and this is just one day. Tomorrow it all begins again for this family at 6:05 a.m., as it does for each of us. Each day in American culture, the sweet, hypnotic music of secularism plays continuously, calling us away from God-focused living, away from traditional Judeo-Christian belief, away from a life of sincere, authentic faith. The almost inevitable result is some degree of assimilation. We become a product of the secular culture in which we're marinated daily. Through an osmosis-like process, we adopt many of its assumptions about how we should live, gradually developing new patterns of thought, feeling, and action that suggest that we, too, are en route to the Piper's cavern. The Pied Piper of Peoria may very well be luring us from God and weakening our faith. So, what are we to do? Part 4 of this broadcast offers some suggestions for how to break free.